Welcome to this Sunday's Gospel Reflection. And I would like to start with just reading out to you a piece of writing that I found very stimulating and intriguing. It was in the form of a public notice in the papers. And it runs like this. Sadly, we announce the departure of one of the most important and active members of the town council, Mr. Someone Else. His death is leaving a gaping void among us. Someone Else was a founding member of the town council, and he was supposed to do whatever each one of us would not like to do. When something difficult or important needed to be done, like some tough or dirty job, all the committee members would point to Mr. Someone Else and say, "He will do it." When some volunteers were required, everyone would take it for granted that someone else would be the first to offer his services. And someone else was indeed at times the most marvelous, generous, and almost superhuman person. He could take upon himself such heavy and impossible responsibilities, difficult, demanding, or inconvenient jobs. But someone else could also be the most terrible person, because when anything would go wrong, it would always be his fault. Everyone would judge him. It was his mistakes, his incompetence, his negligence, his irresponsibility, someone else's irresponsibility. But poor someone else was human too. How could he take all that load? He could not survive the pressure, and poor man, he died of exhaustion. His funeral took place, but there was no one attending. Almost no one realized that he had passed away because no one else was found to attend it. For all the others, life went on just as usual. But soon enough, the difference without someone else started to be felt in the town. Without him, everything seemed to stop because no one else could be found to take his place. None of those who had found someone else so convenient and accommodating were ready to take up some, at least, of his responsibilities and the myriad services he gave. And when there was something to blame, they didn't find someone else to blame. As a result, the town streets grew littered, the garbage bins overflowed, because someone else was no longer there to clean them up. Corruption and cheating went out of control because someone else was no longer there to blame. The town church remained empty because no one like someone else would attend the services. And the younger generation lost all sense of direction because someone else was not there to teach them the right values, inspire them by the beautiful virtues of life. Families broke up and almost vanished because someone else was not there to keep his word, to pay the price of a long life and commitment. Not even God was spared, because a different other God was not found to replace him. He who would truly love them, a God who would be ready to suffer, to serve and save them. They were looking for some other God. And with the disappearance of someone else, the whole world stopped. There was a terrible panic and a deadly confusion all over the earth. And we who are living this time of the COVID pandemic, I think we know what that is like. So God sent His Son Jesus among us so that He would be the true, the new someone else that the world needs. He is ready to take up all the burden, do our dirty work, and nothing will stop Him from taking on that mission. Only one thing could hinder Him from doing all the work and carrying out all the chores, by being the someone else. And this one thing that really hinders Him is if you and me, we refuse to join Him and be like Him and with Him, that someone else that the world needs not to die of hunger. In today's gospel, the disciples had all the right feelings. They were caring, they were concerned for the people, for the crowds who gathered to listen to Jesus' life-giving words. After a whole day, it was they who noticed that it was high time for the people to get their supper. So they drew the attention of Jesus to the plight of the people, as if they could beat Him in His sensitiveness and deep knowledge of their needs. And as if they were telling Him, give them a break, send them to buy their own food. But the pity of Jesus on the people was very different from the pity of the disciples. He had spent the day healing and teaching. He was doing what He could do. The disciples genuinely wanted the people not to suffer, but spontaneously they did what we all do: let people solve their own problems. It is impossible to solve everyone's problems, so let someone else do it. Jesus was that someone else who could the impossible, on one condition: if our starting point becomes not what we cannot do or what we don't want to do, if our starting point in front of an impossible situation is Jesus' own starting point, which is always, what can I do? And so He asks them to take responsibility of the people gathered because of Him and therefore of them, and start from what they could do. And what they could do was poor indeed. They could muster just 5 loaves and 2 fishes, surely not enough, but something to start with. Nothing in the world, nothing in life comes from nothing. There has to be something, however small, however insignificant. If you want to get anywhere, start from where you are. Start with what you have, but start yourself. Because, as Mother Teresa used to say, no one can do what you can do. Let us not wait for someone else, but realize that we are that someone else. Just offer the little we can, in our frailty, in our weaknesses. Just lay it in front of Jesus. who is the supreme other, the supreme someone else. Our hunger, our thirst are not just for bread or fish and chips. It is for someone who means everything and everyone for us, Jesus Himself. But remember, He is not just another someone else like us. He is the one who makes you most yourself. Like Him and with Him, let us be the starting point. The rest will follow. God bless you and thank you.